set beginning in the Riviera. Another thing I wanted to tell you about was part of the idea of this walk. There are 2 or 3 very important walks that the Beats took across the village. One of them is actually 2 of them are in the Subterraneans, the novel that Kerouac wrote about his affair with a woman named Eileen Lee. He had to set the novel in San Francisco, so when you read it, you have to, it's all about the village, but you have to constantly flash. He changed the names of everything, and in some cases, you're taking walks across parts of San Francisco that would be impossible to walk across. The reason for that is that it's all just an evasion of the censors who were afraid of, the publishers were afraid of lawsuits. So one of the walks, the woman that he was seeing, Eileen Lee, she lived on 12th Street and Avenue A, or 11th Street, I'm sorry, 11th Street and Avenue A, in a little place called Paradise Alley, which is, I hope we're going to get to. Doesn't exist anymore anyway. But they would walk across the village from here and across Washington Square all the way in order to get to her apartment. That's one famous walk. And another is when Allen Ginsberg was living on East 2nd Street and Avenue A. He was over here one night in the West Village when he had the vision that would lead to writing Kaddish, which in my opinion is probably his greatest poem. The poem of for his mother, who had died a couple of years earlier, and he walked across the village like late at night, like 3 in the morning, all the way across here, across Washington Square, and over to East 2nd Street, where he took Benzedrine and wrote the poem in a continuous 2-day marathon of writing, which was something that he did periodically, and of course that Kerouac virtually almost always did, or whenever he did, he wrote better books. Although, yes. No, Kerouac never really lived in the village. He lived in Queens. He lived briefly in Brooklyn when he was going to Horace Mann as a young guy. He lived with his mother in Queens for the most part. He came here and binged, basically, and then crashed at people's apartments. The other walk is Kerouac and Corso stole a pushcart on Bleecker Street one time and pushed it all the way across to Allen's apartment on East 7th Street. And Allen was furious because he was very sympathetic with the owner of the pushcart. So it led to a rift between him and Kerouac that is, and it led to a rift between him and Eileen Lee, and it's a central event in the Subterraneans. But it's one of the places in the book where to push a cart across that part of San Francisco, they would have had to push it practically straight up a hill and down, and it can't have happened.